Today I would like to talk about what is relevant information. You'll be given a topic and then you'll have to write a proposal that contains a literature review. We often find that students write about things which is not really relevant to the topic. So we will now be discussing an example of a topic and then see where is the focus of this topic. So when your supervisor gives you a topic, you need to ask you, what is the focus of this topic? And then your literature must be on that particular focus. Okay, let's discuss an example of a topic. So the topic is the development of a new radiator fluid for vehicles. Now, when you look at this topic, you can see there's a few key words. Radiator, radiator fluid, and vehicles. So now, where is the focus in this topic? In this particular one, it's the radiator fluid. The focus is not on the vehicle. The focus is not on the radiator. It's all about the radiator fluid. It's not on any other fluids in the car. It's very specifically on developing a new radiator fluid. So your whole discussion has to focus on this radiator fluid. Okay, now keep in mind your focus is a new radiator fluid. So if you write a lot of stories about a vehicle that has 4 wheels and a spare wheel, so that means you're now focusing on the vehicle. Is that information relevant? No. The fact that the vehicle's got some wheels and it's got a pressure in that wheel's about 2 to 3 bars, now you're focusing on the vehicle. Is that relevant literature? No. The fact that your vehicle has some windows, is it relevant? No, because remember, your focus is a radiator fluid. The fact that you get Toyota, Mercedes, and whatever vehicles, is that relevant? No, because our focus is a radiator fluid. The fact that it's a battery, there's batteries in a vehicle, is that relevant? No. The fact that you need a driver's license to drive a vehicle, is that relevant? No. So when you get your new topic, you have to ask yourself, where's the focus and what's literature is relevant. When a newspaper article is written, there are very common questions typically asked and answered in the article. For instance, who is it about? What happened? When did it happen? Where did it take place? And why did it happen? So similar questions can be asked about your focus area of your topic. For instance, why is there a radiator in the car? Why is there fluid in the radiator? What properties should this fluid have? Why do you need to do this research? Why can't just pure water be used? What's wrong with the fluid currently used? Why is it required to develop a new fluid? What hints are in previous research to lead your research? Or to show you where to look for a new fluid? So what research have been done on radiator fluids? Now you can see all these questions are focusing on the main focus of your topic. The main focus is a radiator fluid, so all these questions are focusing on this aspect of your research topic. It's not focusing on the vehicle. Now these questions that we have asked, you can use to make subheadings for your literature review. For instance, why is there a radiator in the car? So the heading would be, in your literature review, the function of a radiator in your car. Why is there fluid in the radiator? So your heading in your literature review would be the function of the radiator fluid. What properties should this fluid have? So your heading would be properties of the ideal radiator fluid. So why do you want to do research? Why can't water just be used? What's wrong with the current fluid? Then the heading would be shortcomings of the current available fluid. And then what has other people been doing and what properties must this radiator fluid have? So what functional groups are required in an ideal radiator fluid? So when you write your literature review, you don't just lump it all into one long story. You have to break it apart in shorter sections, and each section must have a focus. You can't write a mixed up story by just copying and pasting from different places in a rather random mixed up way. You have to take the information and sort it underneath headings. Let's look at a typical topic here at VUT. Surface modification of pinecone waste by the Fenton reaction for cleaning water. So now let's look at a very typical topic example here at VUT. So in this case, it's now the surface modification of pinecone waste by the Fenton reaction for cleaning water by adsorption. So now you can break this topic into a couple of pieces. So the surface modification by the Fenton reaction, pinecone waste, Fenton reaction, cleaning water, and adsorption. So in this case, the focus is the surface modification by this particular reaction. So what we typically find is that people will write about dirty water, and they will write about the many dirty things in water, and the many problems this dirty water can cause, and the water that's so scarce in South Africa. Long stories, pages full of stories. Yes, a paragraph on the dirty water is fine, but not pages. But since the focus is a surface modification, so the focus in this particular topic is why is surface modification required? So you have to write, why do we need to surface modify it? Has anybody else done a surface modification with this particular reaction? What happened when it was modified? Did it increase the adsorption or did it decrease the adsorption? Why are we using pinecone waste? Why are we not using zeolites? So these are the type of questions you need to ask or answer in your literature review. Okay, so now we've established that the focus of this topic is the surface modification by the Fenton reaction. So in your literature review, you need to focus on this, and that's why I've written here long. So on this particular aspect, you need to write a few pages. So why is the modification required? How did others modify the surface? Has anybody else modified the surface with the Fenton reaction? How did it impact the adsorption? And how did the surface properties change? Now here is a lot of chemistry. And remember, you're busy with chemistry. Therefore, your project, your proposal has to have a lot of chemistry in it. So this surface properties, you need to talk about what functional groups are on the surface and what functional groups are required to improve the adsorption capacities of the surface. Okay, then we also have the pinecone here. It's relevant, but you have to write only a few sentences on it. The Fenton reaction, it's medium important, so you have to perhaps write a half a page on it. And the cleaning the water, yes, it's relevant to write something about it, but only a few sentences. And then the adsorption of the process of cleaning the water has medium importance, and therefore you need to write, say, half a page. So that which is very important, your focus, you have to have a couple of pages. That which is not very relevant, but it's still relevant, you have to write a few sentences. And that which is medium relevant, you have to write about a half a page. So once again, I'm going to reiterate this. You have to find out what is the focus of your topic, and you need to have a couple of pages on that focus in your proposal.